Hello friends, my name is 𝗕𝗜𝗖𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗑𝗐. Uh, I am a writer at the Cyber Express. Today we have with us Mr. Hitoshi Kokumai, who is the founder of Mnemonics Identity Solutions Limited. Hello Mr. Hitoshi, how are you?
Hello, Vishwa. Very nice to see you, and thank you very much for having me for this interview.
I'm so happy I'm getting to interact with you. You founded something so wonderful. I cannot wait to begin learning more about this topic. It is very interesting, and I hope readers and our viewers will also find it interesting. Let me begin with my first question. Can you tell us what the need for identity and access management (IAM) is, and the current trend in its usage in a country like Japan? What is the trend of IAM usage in Japan, and how receptive companies also are towards IAM? Do you think it is in its beginning stage, or it is at an advanced stage? Can you share some insights on this?
Okay, let me first start how critical the identity assurance or identity authentication or identity security is for our social life. With the world or in the virtual world, our social we should be able to be certain that the people who are communicating to us are the very persons who claim to be.
Yes.
And the identity assurance is not just the foundation of cybersecurity. It's the foundation of our social life.
Right.
From the ancient days. Whether we live in pre-digital area or in the area after what's called the digital transformation, let's say the very digital world, our social life would collapse if we can't be certain whether the people who are talking to us remotely are the very persons who claim to be. In the old days, when people confirm the identity of other people in person, say in face-to-face, we have many people. We had many tools to make it clear that we are communicating with the correct people, even though they tried to cheat me with forged papers or forged certificate. We can ask them straight away in person, face to face. And it would be very hard for criminals to impersonate my friend or my business friend or my business contact if they don't have the knowledge that they are supposed to have.
Right.
But in this cyber age, we should be able to confirm whether we are talking with the correct persons or not in seconds. And we expect the servicer to judge that I am the correct person in seconds. Happy to make shopping from the site where it takes an hour to confirm that I am I. So nowadays we have to rely on the reliable identity assurance, identity authentication for anything. When you are voting electronically, the government should be certain that the person who is voting is the person who is supposed to be voting.
Right.
And that it is imperative for a democratic society to survive and stay sustainable. And it is password that has long enabled us to achieve this objective. And I believe passwords will stay as such for long.
Right.
Some people are touting that removing the password would be a solution, because everybody agrees that the passwords are hard to manage. Passwords are easy to break. Passwords are hard to remember, hard to recall. We have dozens of accounts to protect, meaning that we have to manage dozens of different passwords.
Right.
And nowadays, no humans can stand this burden of the requirement of password protection. So we are at a very critical time. We have long been protected by passwords, and we need to be protected for long in the future. And yet, we know that the passwords are hard to manage. Everybody hates the passwords. So we have to sort out. Here, I started to advocate to make use of our long-term memory, not short-term memory, our own long-term memory. In other words, autobiographic memory,
Okay.
especially episodic memory that is unique to each of us.
Mm-hmm.
Episodic memory is our memory that we experienced ourselves.
Right.
It is not a memory that we acquire from reading papers or by watching TVs. The memories that we ourselves experienced with our body, with our eyes, with our ears, with our noses. The memory that we acquire with our emotion as our own experience.
Right.
The episodic memory that we had acquired years ago, and what we still remember, are very unlikely to evaporate over the coming months or a couple of years.
Right.
We expect the episodic memory that we acquired many years ago to stay with us so long as we are alive, or so long as we have a healthy consciousness.
Right.
Now, think about the text passwords that we have long been used to, we have long been supposed to use. Say, text passwords can be divided into different groups. What is easy to remember? My name, name of my pets, or famous football player. Those things are easy to remember, but everyone agrees that those are very easy to break, easy to guess. And another group is the passwords that hard to break. Very long, random sequence of alphabets are very hard for bad guys to break,
Correct.
even when they have very fast computers. But with no humans can manage it. I used to be able to remember several hard to break passwords.
Oh.
But there was a big problem. You must have the same problem. Assume that you are able to remember a dozen of how to break passwords. But you must have a problem of remembering the relation between the passwords and the corresponding accounts.
Correct.
Are you sure that you can remember which passwords to be used for which account?
Correct.
I have lived 75 years now, and I've never met anybody who can say, I can do it.
Oh.
It's beyond the ability of a human being. We have to solve this problem as well. The passwords must be what we can easily remember, and yet what bad guys have difficulty in breaking. Moreover, the passwords have to be remembered together with the relation with the account to be used for. So this is the scale of the problem we are challenging. And we know that there are some people who are trying to escape this problem by ditching the password altogether from the identity assurance. Removing the passwords, then you will be free of all those problems of passwords. It's a good solution, except that you will have to lose security. So you talk about you asked me what we are seeing in Japan, and my answer is that I decided to get out of Japan in order to set up the global headquarters outside Japan. I think you already had my answer in it. Japan is not a good place for me to start this business. My invention was invented in the wrong place. In Japan is dominated by the people who misguide the people that removing the passwords are the best solution. And people are listening to it because the concept of passwordless authentication is touted by big names, while the concept of using expanded password system, expanded password system is what I'm promoting for making use of our own non-volatile episodic memory, is advocated by a very small company. The big voices are, everybody knows, Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and so on. As against those big names, the concept of using episodic memory is advocating me and a small number of groups supporting me. So I have now given you the overall picture of what the identity assurance is like nowadays.
Yes, you have. I hope people are more receptive to your idea, and different people prefer different things. Some people like passwords, some people do not like it. I hope you find the kind of exposure that you need and realize what you're saying.
Sorry, your voice was interrupted.
Okay, I'll repeat. I'll repeat my second question. How receptive people in Japan and the Japanese government? You have shared your views on how Japan is taking IAM. Have they collaborated? You said that there is a small group that is understanding what you're saying. So do you think people have collaborated to promote IAM, identity access management, for companies, for multinationals or SMEs? Do you see a collaboration?
Nowadays, most of the people in cybersecurity knows how important IAM is.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they appreciate our way of thinking.
Right.
In Japan, when I first started to promote the concept of making use of our own long-term memory, we were received very favorably.
Okay.
And we were supported by a number of big corporations as well as Japanese government.
Wow.
And actually, we were given a very big grant from our government, more than $1 million.
Wow.
And our system was adopted by a big telecoms company who were building online for building a payment system or electronic payment system for online shopping, and our software was adopted for the system for a system to be used by millions of consumers, and we actually built such a big system and started the operation in 2003.
Oh.
And it was used for 8 years. And at the end of the day, it was used by 140,000 consumers to their satisfaction. Everybody was very happy. But unfortunately, for some non-technical reason, say some people call it a political reason, the system was discontinued, and we were given an exit.
I'm so sorry.
And the reason, in 2000, the system was used from 2003 to 2008, so it was used for about 5 years.
5 years, yes.
And in 2008, Japan was already dominated by big corporations who were spending a huge amount of money for promoting biometrics.
Okay.
We were not welcomed. And the Japanese government and the many big corporations who were supportive to us around 2003 to 2005 turned hostile to us.
Oh.
Because we said the truth that the biometrics destroys security, while they promoted the biometrics, alleging that the biometrics increases the security. So you wouldn't be surprised that they didn't welcome me.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
But one unit welcomed me, welcomed our solution. It's Japanese army.
Oh wow.
Japanese army liked our software in view of the feature, the properties of a product.
Okay.
First of all, can you imagine the scenery where soldier injured on the battlefield can resort to biometrics for login?
True.
So those people didn't consider biometrics. And they didn't consider hardware solutions. Can you imagine the scenery that the soldiers are searching for USB keys or IC cards in the confused battlefield for making a login? Where is my IC card? Where is my IC card? Where is my USB key?
Not happening.
In the battlefield. So they have to use what we remember.
Right.
And you know the problem, the conventional passwords. As I said earlier, what can be easily remembered can be easily forgotten and confused. And what can be broken can be easily forgotten, particularly when you are under pressure. Say, in a quiet, peaceful office environment, we could somehow recall how to break passwords. Are you certain that you can recall the same how to break password under pressure or under panic?
Difficult.
So under the panicky situation like the battlefield, people tend to register the easiest to recall passwords, because otherwise they would get lost. They would get lost.
True.
And they need to log in. Then our proposition will make them happy, because what we propose is the password made of our episodic memory that hardly evaporate, even when we are under pressure. Say, the picture of your pet that you used to love for many years, you can find it even when you are in panic.
Right. True.
Or the face of your parents when they were young or
Correct.
when they were children,
Mm.
you can judge them or you can look at them right away when you are confused or you are under the very stressful panic the situation or under panic. When you have to make a login, being shouted by your boss to make login as quickly as possible, and when you fail to recall it, you have lost it. But under any environment, you'll be able to find pictures of the beloved ones. The people that the Japanese Army adopted our product for that, and I'm certain that the same will repeat all over the world.
Yes.
Not just soldiers, but
Right.
law enforcement or firefighters, or whoever can be placed under a heavy pressure. So ordinary businessmen as well. So
Correct.
all the businessmen who have to report to boss. Everybody who is working under boss are working under pressure and sometimes under panic. Our solution will help. So, and when we succeeded in having our solution adopted by our Japanese army, we were confident. We were ever more confident that our solution would be appreciated and welcomed everywhere we go on the globe. And if we make a small success in Japan, it's a success in Japan. If we make a success in outside Japan, also on the globe, we make a success. We make a global success.
Global success.
And once we became confident that our solution is qualified to be the global standard, we decided we should get out of Japan, and eventually we set up our headquarters in the United Kingdom, as it's a very good place to speak out to the global population. So that's the reason why I don't like to talk about Japan too much.
Oh, okay. Japan is known
We'll
for
get
its
back to Japan.
technology.
Yeah. I will eventually get back to Japan. From UK. I will eventually go back to I don't say I forget Japan. I will get back to Japan at the end of the day.
Yes, you will, because we all get back to our homes eventually.
Yes.
My next question is about CEO fraud. Now, we see that there is a rise in this kind of a fraud. Um, can you elaborate on, how your product or any other product, you know, uh, such as privilege access management, through which CEO fraud can be prevented? Do you think such a mechanism is important for companies? Do you think, this is the way forward?
Uh, I know what the CEO fraud is,
Right.
but I'm not so much interested in it.
Okay.
It's just one of many means of social engineering. And,
Right.
and I know that the thousands of people are working on it.
Okay.
And it's in my sight, but it's not in my business scope.
Okay. Okay. No
Our
problem.
our solution is at the bottom of the layers. So the solutions to cope with social engineering are on a different layer.
Okay.
In other words, solutions to cope with social engineering, including CEO fraud, cannot work without reliable identity assurance.
Okay.
So they need our solutions. But on the other hand, our solution alone is not supposed to cope with social engineering.
Okay.
So social engineering can be fended off by the people who provide solutions for that particular problem, desirably collaborating with us.
Okay.
So we are not the main player.
Right.
For CEO fraud.
Right.
We provide the fundamental tools to the people who come up with the solutions to solve, to tackle CEO fraud.
Okay. Okay, great. I like that you're honest about, what your package, what your system does. My next question is, about the future of IAM solutions. Do you you've mentioned about biometrics and passwordless. Do you see companies in the future using biometrics more or passwordless more? What lies in the future?
I make it clear that passwordless solution would be fine where availability and convenience matters more than security. In other words, when you don't want the security, you could use passwordless authentication. It's the same with the biometrics. If you need security, if you need reliable security, you should forget the passwordless authentication or biometrics authentication. But when you want good convenience, good availability, you could use biometrics authentication and the passwordless authentication. So it's up to your objective.
Okay.
We we are providing the solutions to the people who need security. I'm not ready to talk to the people who say, "Oh, I don't want the security. I want the convenience." Then they have the solution. They could go to the people who are selling passwordless authentication and the biometrics authentications.
Okay.
So they and we can coexist for different audience.
Correct.
We are
Correct.
for the people who want the security. They are for the people who don't want the security.
Oh. Okay, I got your answer then. So I'm going to skip my fifth question because we've already mentioned it.
Okay.
Jumping to the next one, do you see a rising trend in adapting to multi-factor authentication in Japan? Do you see a rise in MFA fatigue in Japan? Like there have been cases of, Uber getting hacked using MFA fatigue. So do you see that happening in Japan?
I don't know. I'm watching the global trend, not the Japanese trend. Okay. And I agree that the multi-factor authentication helps for the people who need good security. But at the same time, MFA is causing MFA fatigue because too many people are demanding MFA, even where they are overkill. So now that we know of the symptom of MFA fatigue, then the people should use it only where it is indispensable.
Right.
And what we are witnessing is that everybody is adopting MFA. And when you make an access after 1 month or 2 month interval, you would be required to adopt MFA, or in many cases, a one-time code is now sent to your mobile phone. So, and it helps indeed, but at the same time, it's causing MFA fatigue. So MFA should be used only where it is indispensable or it is most desirable. Certainly, the government officials who were handling the highly personal information or privacy data of citizens must use MFA. And we also recommend that our solution should be used as one of the factors of MFA when they need to protect a very highly sensitive data.
Correct.
So MFA is a must, whether using our solution or not. Correct. If they have to protect citizens' critical data.
Correct. I agree with that. Now, please share some insights on the concept of episodic image memory that you mentioned that you have been, bringing up. So I would like to know more about episodic image memory that the Mnemonic project is based on.
When I first came up with the idea of using pictures for password, I was very lucky to have a friend who learned psychology. And from that friend, I learned that making use of people's episodic memory, we could make a more solid password system. As I said at the beginning of this interview, text passwords has a fatal drawback, particularly when we have to use many of them. And we opted to take the course of improving and enhancing the password by incorporating the pictures, and then pictures of our own episodic memory. The fatal problem of the conventional text passwords would go away. And the merit of using our own episodic memory that is non-volatile. Non-volatile means that it will not evaporate for some more years at least.
Right.
First of all, we can make the password far more stronger than textual passwords, because we can create any long secret credential from images, because each image already contains a huge volume of random data. So unique data.
Right.
If each image is different from the others, it means each data contained in the picture are all unique.
Right.
And the combination of a few to several pictures creates a very, very unique confidential data.
Right.
It could be not just a few tens of bits or hundreds of bits. It could be thousands of bits or tens of hundreds of thousands of bits or millions of bits. Can be easily taken from the combination of pictures as a unique data.
However, it could be bridged, if like you said, I will know how my pet looks, so I will click on the pet's image. But there are other people like friends and family and relatives who know how my pet looks. So if they are trying to log in and they see these images, they know my relatives, they are my relatives, so they know the kind of pictures I will select.
Yes, and we don't recommend the people to select just one picture. We recommend the pictures, the combination of pictures.
Okay.
Say 5 pictures out of 36 or 6 pictures out of 64. Then the uniqueness of the data is astronomical.
Okay.
So, and that's just one of the features, one of the merits.
Okay.
The next one is that we can manage many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Assume that you create a different matrix of pictures for each different account.
Right.
say, this matrix made of toys that my daughters used to play with, and I can find the correct ones embedded among decoy pictures easily. And the second account is protected by a different matrix of pictures, say sedans that I used to drive as against sedans that I had no interest. And we have hundreds of thousands of those different materials from our library.
Right.
And so when we get to one account and I see a matrix, the matrix can tell me you should pick up your pets on this matrix. And at the different account, the screen tells me which car you used to drive.
Okay.
And there are many of them, and there are many combinations of them. So you will be freed of the burden of managing the relation between the accounts and the corresponding passwords.
Right.
And because of those two major characteristics, very beneficial characteristics, it could be used for for all the different applications, whether you are handling the high security accounts for business.
Right.
You register certain kinds of images you think are pertinent, and when you are handling the low security accounts, which wouldn't be fatal if broken, you could prefer more of the convenience rather than high security. Say you will pick up 2 or 3 pictures from among 9 or 16 pictures, so that it can be finished in a second. And so you can manage many different security levels of accounts with all different levels of picture combinations.
Right.
And by making the good use of the characteristics of our episodic memory, we can think of the login, and that can be made safely under duress. Under duress means that someone, a bad guy, is forcing you, or violently forcing you, to make a login under stressful condition.
Okay.
The password using passwords for such a situation was not new. There was a prior art, but text passwords already, as I said at the beginning of this interview, if you rely on the text password, you would have a problem. If you if the password for use and the address is too easy to break, it doesn't work. If the password is strong, hard to break, you might fail to recall it. But if the password is made of pictures of your unforgettable episodic memory, you are certain that you can use the duress password under any stressful, under any panic situation. So there are many applications that made it possible in the future as people pile up our digital assets in cyberspace, and we will be more and more and more dependent on the password in the future.
Mr. Hitoshi, can you share a response from a client who has used the Mnemonic solutions and had a good experience and has benefited from it?
Okay, let me talk about my best ongoing customer, say Japanese Army. They adopted our solution in 2013, 9 years ago. And since then, the number of license, in other words, the number of vehicles on which our solution is working, increased tenfold over the last 9 years. And I was recently told that they intend to keep using it for at least 10 more years. I don't know what happens in 10 years' time. We may have come up with a better alternative. But anyway, this tells that they are not unhappy. I humbly assume that they are well satisfied with the function of our solution, at least for their application. The application is that our software is used on the communications vehicle, which receives and sends back the information from the commanders. The soldiers who make login to the system select pictures that they registered, and once they have gone into the system, they will be allowed to handle the encrypted military information.
Right.
So our software is working at the most demanding customer in most demanding environment for 9 years now, and they expect it to be working for 10 more years. And this is very encouraging for us, because what works in the most demanding environment for the most demanding application can satisfy everyday application in everyday environment.
Right.
The reverse doesn't apply. We cannot claim that what works in the environment should be able to work in demanding environment. It doesn't happen. So we have proven, we have demonstrated that we can satisfy all the applications in all different environments of the global population.
Right, I hope so too.
Once we have proven that it can satisfy the soldiers to be communicating with the commanders in the battlefield, we are safely able to claim that everybody, so long as they can recognize what they had registered as the secret credentials made from their own unforgettable, pleasant memory, can recognize them.
Perfect.
So whoever, whether they are small children or whether they are in the 70s like me or in the 80s or in the 90s, so long as they have the healthy cognitive ability, they should be able to protect their digital identity safely with virtually at no cost. Our solution doesn't require any hardware.
Oh.
It's just a software, and the people don't have to do anything about the existing password system.
Okay.
When we start to make our own password manager, say we are on the way to come up with our own password manager that is driven by citizens' public memory. The password manager will create a number of unique, strong text passwords, as many as conventional password managers do. So once this password manager driven by citizens' episodic memory, the conventional text password system, the legacy password system, will be given another life. They keep contributing to the safe cyber life as it is. Everybody who relies on the conventional text passwords can keep using it while increasing the overall identity security drastically. That's what we are going to offer to the global citizen, and we are going to make profit, or in more decent words, we are going to recover our earlier investment by selling professional use version to the business people who need good security or who need the best possible security for their business operation.
Right.
While we are offering a consumer version who don't have to handle military secrets. The consumer version at no cost.
Yes.
So that the global citizens will be better prepared against
Right.
cyber threats from bad guys.
Right.
And we need to do it because it's like the vaccine against the COVID. If consumers are left behind, if consumers remain vulnerable, we will not be able to build sustainable cybersecurity. Not just the business people, but consumers alike must have valid tools to protect their digital identity. It's what we are going to achieve, and we will soon be able to achieve it.
Right. I hope you achieve your goals. I hope, companies and individuals, they understand the importance of Mnemonics solutions and how it makes, securing your account so simple just with the use of images. I cannot imagine something more simpler than using images for logging in. So I hope people who watch this video, they see how, your product will help them secure their accounts and will make it easier also for them, no matter where they are in their life, if they are in military or they're into government or they are studying, they're college students. I hope they all find your product and then get in touch with you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Mr. Hitoshi, it was lovely talking to you. I learned a lot from you, and it has really inspired me. How you struggled and how you tried to bring up your brand and your product. I hope to sometimes speak with you again with probably a success story of how you've benefited and how your product is reaching more people. We'll talk again sometime again.
Okay, thank you very much. I look forward to it.